Greetings and welcome to the Bowling Green First United Methodist Church. We hope that you enjoy what you're about to see, and you can find us on the corner of Broadway and Church Streets at 11 o'clock on Sunday mornings. Or you can find us at bgmethodist.org and on Facebook at Bowling Green First United Methodist Church. So counting today, 4 Sundays ago was Easter. And then 3 Sundays ago, we started out this time in looking at Moses' story. And this morning now, we're going to finish up, at least for now, looking at Moses' story and what it was that he was doing. And we kind of went this direction because it is, on Easter, we celebrate, and it's great joy, and we say, Jesus has been resurrected, he is risen from the dead, and it is good. And it's a great joy and a great celebration. But the trouble is, we celebrate that on Sunday. Monday morning always comes. And you know what that's like. You've got those great big highs, those great big joys, but then Monday always comes. And the question became, well, what do we do next? Because we can't ride that same emotional high, that great joy and celebration all the time. We've got to know, what do we do next? And one of the ways we talked about that was that we intentionally seek out, intentionally work towards a purpose, seeking out what that purpose is, and then living into that purpose. That becomes one of the ways we can keep that going. That gives us something that says, here is what is next. But then we also talk about how that can be challenging, though, because the world changes around us all the time. And that becomes the place where it gets to be really difficult, is that our purpose, our direction that we have, that we find, it has to also kind of change and develop as the world around us does. And we saw that happen with Moses. We saw that happen with the Israelites. As we started Moses' story out, not with his birth, but with this statement here. Now a new king came to power in Egypt who didn't know Joseph. There was their biggest challenge. They had been welcomed into Egypt because Joseph had done great things, and his family settled there, and they grew and they were prosperous. But then one Pharaoh died, and a new king rose to power who didn't know the story. Things changed. And when that change happened, this new king was afraid, because here's this group of foreigners that are living in our land, and they were scared. They were worried. They didn't know what to do with them. They saw that they were good and strong people. They saw all these things that made them worried and afraid. And so they did what made sense to them, even though it devastated the Israelites. They forced them into slavery. And there they were for many, many generations. And the Israelites were then forced to begin to try, after many, many years, to figure out, well, what do they do next? Fortunately for us, this is not something that we have to do, because God has already prepared us and already has set a path before us so that we can work on finding that purpose and that meaning and that direction. Because he calls us together already in communities of faith, in groups of people, to get together with one another, to talk, to pray, to sing, to worship, to study, to do all of those things so that we can figure out that purpose. So that in the midst of that, we can better hear and understand God's voice. That was the challenge that we had, or that was the challenge that we have. And that's what was different with what Moses was doing. Because Moses, he had to find that purpose on his own. But he did. He was, remember at this point in the story when we come into it, Moses has fled Egypt. He has made a new life for himself, but it doesn't have a lot of purpose. It doesn't have a lot of direction to it. It's a good life. It's a hard life, but it's a good one. But it doesn't have a lot of direction until he comes to that burning bush. And that burning bush where God speaks to him out of that bush and says, Moses, here is what you are going to do. And all of a sudden provides that purpose and that direction for him, giving him something that he is going to accomplish. Saying, Moses, you are going to bring my people out of slavery in Egypt. But God doesn't stop there, because Moses is still trying to figure this out. It says, He says to God, well, who do I say is telling me to do this? What is your name? And God responds not with a noun saying who I am, but says instead this. He says, I am who I am, or I will be who I will be. So say to the Israelites, I am has sent me to you. God continued, say to the Israelites, the Lord, the God of your ancestors, Abraham's God, Isaac's God, and Jacob's God has sent me to you. This is my name forever. This is how all generations will remember me. He doesn't give them something that doesn't change. He says, I am, or I will be. There is movement, there is energy, there is life, there is vitality to that. He is saying to Moses that I am going to be at work all the time. That I am not just going to stop someplace, but I know the world changes and things have changed, and I will already be there when that happens. That's the same message we can take from that also, is that our God does not stop. He does not stay in one place, but he is already working and helping to make us ready for the challenges that we will face and the things that will come. But it's all well and good to have a purpose and direction, but you have to say, well, to what point? To what point do we have that purpose and direction? What is the end goal in all of this? And for Moses, that goal was the promised land. What Moses was going to do when he brought the people out of slavery, which that would have been a great thing just by itself. If he just would have brought the Israelites out of slavery and then handed it off to someone else, we would have still remembered him for doing a great thing. But he didn't stop there because God was not done with Moses yet. Instead, he says, Moses, there is still more to this story. There is more still that is going to happen. And you're going to take these people to the promised land. I'll take you as my people, God says, and I'll be your God. You will know that I, the Lord, am your God who has freed you from Egyptian forced labor. I'll bring you into the land that I promised to give to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I'll give it to you as your possession. I am the Lord. It meant for them that they were going to be brought into the promised land. That one, they weren't going to be in slavery anymore. But even more than that, it gave an entire nation full of people hope for the future, that they could finally be who they were supposed to be and not who they had been forced to be for so many generations. But sometimes I think we have that looking at this story, it's hard for us to understand because we don't come from something similar. But thankfully, Scripture is full of stories like this. Different settings, different contexts, different numbers of people are involved, but the same story happens. It's the same one that we told the kids up here. That when the beggar was sitting outside of the temple who had crippled feet and he couldn't walk, he couldn't do anything, and he had to rely on his friends. He was in slavery to the customs of his time and to the will of the people that were around him. He had a life where all he was looking towards was sitting in front of a gate day after day after day after day, hoping that people would give him enough money to live on. That was the only hope that he had in life. Until Peter comes up to him and says, silver and gold I do not have, but what I do have I give you. In the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, walk. And taking him by the right hand, he helped him up, and instantly the man's feet and ankles became strong, and he jumped to his feet and began to walk. Where this man didn't have any purpose or direction before, all of a sudden now the world was open in front of him because now he had hope. He had promise for the future. He was beginning to see some purpose and direction and see some hope that maybe there is even a promised land out there that he can now have access to because this great thing has happened. But it's even more than that. Because again, that would have been an amazing thing by itself. But then all the folks that were standing around, who recognized a man who was walking around among them as the man who sat and begged in front of the temple for so long, they knew him and they were amazed by this. And they now began to see that maybe there is purpose or direction, or maybe even that there is maybe this kind of burning bush that's out there that is God is speaking to give us maybe guidance and from where we go from here. For us, we may not be in slavery, we may not be begging, we may not be any of those things, but sometimes we recognize that it seems like an awful lot of our world is broken. And it's hard. It may be struggles that we face with family. It may be struggles we face with work or community. It may be struggles that we face with our health care or medications or treatments or just trying to get good insurance. It may even be something bigger, maybe societal issues or cultural issues, things that keep us from seeing even a burning bush that says maybe you have purpose in your life. Much less seeing a promised land that says we've got a place to go. But what we do know is that God is working all the time to begin to draw those things together, to help us find purpose and direction, to help us see that maybe there is a promised land out there to fix what is broken in the world around us, so that what we see is not a broken world, but what we see is a world that is whole and together and is drawn together by what God does. Because he is the one that calls out to us, whether it's in a bush, whether it's in a group of people, whether it's through a time of prayer or through a time of worship, whether it's through whatever it is, God calls to us and says this world can be made whole because I am the one that will do it. And you are the one who I'm giving you the purpose to help make that happen. But we know also that there is that promised land that still waits to be seen. And that's where we take our hope and we put our hope in for what is coming. And this is the same message that we can take out to folks that live in that broken world and say it doesn't have to be that way. We have a message of hope that can help us to overcome that and to live in a different world because we see God at work in all of those places. Let us go and be people of that purpose and that direction that live in that world that God is making. As we come together today, let us remember and recount who we are as a people of faith, as a part of this world that God is drawing together. Will you join with me as we recount who we are? Will you join with me in the Apostles' Creed? I believe in God the Father Almighty,